so much. Thanks for having me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Morningside After Dark Rise. I'm co-host Rebecca Sorensen. While we wish we were in person to share in the brilliant talent of our performers together, we are thrilled to offer you the 2021 season online. Tonight, you'll enjoy a truly incredible group of performers, all of whom rose to meet the challenge of recording at home and life in a pandemic to bring you an amazing night. We want to thank the folks behind the scenes who made tonight possible. Andy Vogel of AV Photography and George Scott McKelvey worked magic to make this night possible from a technology and sound standpoint, not to mention creating our own YouTube channel and a brand new website, morningsideafterdark.com. Thank you, George and Andy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Vernon, a co-host of the show. I also wear another hat. I am here to thank performance sponsor Dissonance. I'm proud to be part of an organization that supports people in the arts community with mental health or substance abuse issues. If you or anyone you know is looking for help, please check out our updated resources at dissonance.website.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Mahoney, another co-host of Morningside After Dark. And before we begin, we want to thank our sponsors for making tonight possible. They are Yoga Fit Linden Hills, Surgeon Jane, Freak Flag Organics, Hyperbole, the best podcast ever, and Rebecca and Mark Sorensen. Sen and Sons create our graphics. And now, Morningside After Dark, rise.
Oh, hello. Welcome to my bathtub. I was just sitting here thinking about how lucky I am to be able to experience Morningside After Dark right here from the luxury of a warm tub with that beautiful candlelit glow right behind me. It is truly the best thing ever. Wouldn't you agree, Danielle?
You are so right, Amy. Truer words have never been spoken.
We are so thankful to Rebecca and her incredible team of producers who have put together this virtual Morningside After Dark. It's incredible. The songs, the stories, the talent.
Traditionally, one usually gets dressed and wears clothing to Morningside After Dark. But not this month. This month is different.
It is beyond fabulous. And do you know what else is beyond fabulous? Hyperbole. The best podcast ever. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. We'd be forever grateful. And hey, do it from the tub. All the cool cats and kittens are doing it.
Hello, freaky friends. It's Freaky Phil with Freak Flag Organics, Minneapolis-based purveyor of the best tasting, always 100% USDA certified organic bone broths, pestos, and condiments. At Freak Flag Organics, we are all about getting creative in the kitchen. Our definition of freak is one who emits positivity through self-expression, a great fit to support Morningside After Dark. You can find our new bone broths at Whole Food stores nationwide or go to our website, freakflagorganics.com, to find out where you can find us. Thank you. Be well and stay freaky, friends.
I can almost see that dream I'm dreaming. There's a voice inside my head. You'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking. I gotta keep trying, keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, chances I'm taking. Sometimes they knock me down. I'm not breaking, I may not know it. These are the moments I'm gonna remember most. I just gotta keep going. I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on. There's always gonna be another mountain. Always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb.
Hi everyone, I'm eBay, among other names, and I'm a writer among other titles. It's an honor to be part of this year's Morningside After Dark. Thanks, Rebecca, for inviting me. I have a fairly long one for you tonight, and please forgive me. It's my latest, and as such, it doesn't yet have a title. I tell students that sometimes titles are the hardest to come by, and it's true. So needless to say, this one is untitled for now. Here we go. On December 31, 2019, I told myself next New Year's Eve, I wanted some palm trees overhead. A mango next to ginger beer in hand. After nearly 30 white Christmases, I wanted my reward. Sand, cool, 80 degrees next to the ocean, next to more black people than white, because, you know, white Christmas is not just about the snow. I took that promise for a test run that January and went home to Sierra Leone, and it was all there. Plus the music, plus the food, plus all the friends I left behind when I moved here in 91. Maybe this will do. Maybe Jamaica will do. Port-au-Prince, I heard Belize. Her name was Celine. A year my senior in high school in Chicago, sitting behind and holding my hands over the piano keys in the music room, she opened my eyes to the diaspora. Black will never be the same. Anyways, I returned from Freetown and the whole world went to hell. I lost a job, got a job, nearly lost another. I'll tell you the long story if you buy me some plantain chips and Vinto. Anyways, America found out what black people have been saying for, like 400 years. A system built on 300 years of slave labor will need a few more to cleanse its soul. America, what do you have to lose? You can't keep your children in Egypt and claim a promised land. Follow a pharaoh in the guise of Moses and wonder, how did this all begin? Politicians will politricks. That's what they do. While the masses formed long processions to graveyards with no bodies in the coffin. Stethoscopes were never meant to be rosaries. But in this universe, nurses were left holding Captain America's shield, operators between dying patients and loved ones. It's all personal. Rights and choices. But we all live in the same rocky boat treading these murky waters. Elections have consequences. If you gamble with your vote, you may be gambling with your life, and the minority left at the mercy to live at the mercy of that mistake. And so it goes. I used to love working from home until it became the new normal. I recommend the pandemic stay-at-home order divorce for everyone. You learn so much about yourself while kicking around a small soccer ball in a 2-bedroom apartment, wondering why you were so rigid in your ways, so African in an American marriage. It's all your fault. No, it's all her fault, depending on the time of the day and what's for dinner. Chipotle again or jollof rice for one. You promise next time you are going to be different as you roll off the same side of the bed. Reinventing yourself for 40, you might as well try to rocket to the moon with no concept of gravity. It's complicated. Turn your TV on as loud as you want. But 4th of July fireworks is not the same from your couch as sitting on the lawn watching your kids light up like fireflies. My sister got the COVID. I lost a neighbor. Now I'm too afraid to touch my doorknob without first reaching for sanitizer. Thank God for the outdoors, for the park and bike trails. Whoever decided to drain the Mississippi so my daughter could find that silver glass at the bottom. Up goes the summer, September, October, November. Maybe this time we got it right. Is the nation scarred forever? Maybe it is just revealed. Maybe this is the opportunity for us to rewrite all men to mean all pronoun, all races, one nation. Until then, the children don't want to end the year away from their mother. Neither do I. And so our family got back together for a week on the road to explore America like we had never done before. Iowa cleared the snow. Nebraska with its open skies filled with big furry clouds and sunset like wildfires at the end where earth curves into the unknown, open roads and cows. Colorado's snow-capped mountains remind me how snow should be appreciated, far and away from its cold. New Mexico is old, full of ancient spirits crouching in the shape of mountains. Together with a man wearing a MAGA hat, we helped an Indian immigrant stranded in a winter blizzard. I shook my head, but I was not surprised. I'm pretty sure in the Battle of Gettysburg, there were slave owners and abolitionists on both sides of the line. It's complicated. In Dallas, it rained all 24 hours of New Year's Eve. There were no palm trees and the temperature was 30. So we took karaoke mics and stirred it up with Tina Turner and Dolly Parton. Back on the road, we sang some more, laughed and stopped for coffee and cheap fried some more, had difficult conversations, fell asleep, woke up and laughed some more. Back in Minnesota, the sun had returned. Yes, the snow was still there, but it glistered and twinkled like diamonds flunked across the prairie. We were in the car with the heater turned up to 80 degrees. Believe me when I tell you, it was beautiful. You couldn't tell me it was not Jamaica or Freetown, Port-au-Prince. Belize was Ghana, and she was sitting right next to me. See what I mean? It's complicated.
Alright, hey guys, Maida here, me on bass. Hope everyone's doing well, being safe and healthy. Started to scream. I'm standing at the edge, and I don't want this to end. Love is all that I have.
Good morning. Rise and shine, morning star. Ibi Nop Newbie. I'm going to tell you a story about a time in my life that I didn't have to get up early, but I got up early anyway because my alarm went off. See, I'm a person that I've always had jobs that I usually waitress, and I usually have jobs that start at about 7 in the morning. So all my life, I've gotten up at 5 in the morning. Not because I like to do that, but just because it takes me a couple of hours of drinking coffee before I can smile at people convincingly. And this was in the 90s. This is a while ago. This when this story happens. I was still married to the first guy, and my kids were little. And for some reason, the kids and the guy were gone. And I know they were gone because he had this annual camping trip that he would go with his family. They've been going to this place for 30 years. And somehow in all of the 7 years that the first guy and I were together, I never went because I was always sick. But mainly because I can tell the truth now because it's been, so long. I just, I don't want to be trapped in the woods with people I don't like. So anyway, I had the house to myself, which when you have little kids, that's a rarity. And I didn't have to get up early, and I was going to sleep in late, and I couldn't wait, except I screwed myself up because I had set my alarm anyway. You ever do that? Forget that you got the day off and set your alarm? Because it's habit. And the thing is about habits, probably any amount of success I have gotten in my life is because of an ingrained habit or two. Not because of, talent or anything like that. It's just, this is a habit. This is what I do now. And eventually that builds up and it adds up to something. But anyway, I set my alarm. And my alarm at the time, it was old. It was a clock radio, and it didn't have an on or an off button. Everything was stuck. It was stuck between KQRS and buzzer. So the alarm, the volume was stuck. It was stuck like, come on, baby, light my fire, And it was the great hairspray spill of 1980 that did it in. But it was but it worked. And I used to set it. It was like a time bomb. I set it off. I set it every night way across the room from where I went to bed, and I would have to, and it would just go off, and I would have to run over there every morning, and rip the plug out of the wall, so everybody didn't wake up. So it was just me, and but it got me out of bed, which was good. And anyway, I set the alarm off, and it was my day off, and my blood was pumping, and I was awake, and I couldn't get back to sleep at that point. So I made myself a cup of coffee, and I thought, well, okay, what am I going to do? And I decided to call my mother because she's the only person that I knew personally that was up at that time of day, because my mother always got up at that time of day. She gets up at 4 a.m. And and I asked her why, and she said, well, it's the best part of the day. And that always seemed like a kind of a little bit of mental illness to me. I get it. I get wanting to be awake while everybody's asleep, but I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's the best part of the day, 4 a.m. But anyway, maybe it is. I don't know. So anyway, I figured at the time I'm the black sheep of the family, and I talking is very difficult for me, if you could believe that. It's probably why I became a performer. But anyhow, I decided, I call her once a week because I'm not a monster. And so I call her, and on accident, my dad answered. And my dad, he was not a phone guy. He's we're from the East Side. Hold your applause. He was the original strong silent type, and my dad had already figured out the phone. He figured out the phone because when the phone rings, it's either trouble or someone who wants to talk to you. And either way, that's trouble. My dad, he short, necessary words, right? And that's about it. No exaltations, Anyway, so my dad and I lived in Minneapolis. My parents lived in St. Paul, and of course, I'm I'm lost to the ages there. They don't. There's like a force field at the Cretan Vandalia exit, and none of my family has passed it. I can count on one hand the time. I've been here for 30 years now. They don't come over to see me. I come over to see them. I have dual citizenship. Anyway, my dad, I hung up on him because he answered he answered the phone, hello, and I went, ah! And I hung up the phone. But at the time, I didn't realize they had just gotten caller ID. This is back in the days of landlines. So he called me back and he said, hey, Colleen, cough if you're in danger. Because he thought that maybe somebody had broken into my house and was holding me against my will, because it was Minneapolis. So, and I just started talking because that's what I do when I get anxious. I just started talking, and I said, "Oh, Dad, and I decided, somehow in the back of my mind, I decided to talk to him about something that I had recently purchased, figuring my dad, like a lot of dads, he likes to sit in that big comfy chair known as judgment. And I said, oh, hey, Dad, I went to a garage sale, and I got the kids a sandbox. I got them a big, beautiful red sandbox, and I'm going to stick it out in the backyard. And the whole time my dad's just, and I'm, oh, it's going to be so great. And my dad, he kind of says, well, where are you going to get the sand? And touche, because he likes to always decide if he thinks I got a good enough deal or not. And usually I haven't. And that's our little dance. And then he has to tell me, how he could have gotten it, for a better deal, and how, I should have asked him first, even before I buy apples, right? So I said, that was my cue, I got this sandbox for $2, Dad. It's beautiful. Where are you going to get the sand? That's my cue to say something really stupid, like, I don't know, Macy's, like the most expensive place I could get. Nordstrom's has a sale on sand. And so anyhow, it's so somehow on my day off, I found myself to be in my father's truck. He came to pick me up in Minneapolis, so he must have been really bored. So he came to pick me up. It wasn't even 7 a.m. yet. My dad's truck was a 1979 Ford F-150, and two-tone green, and it had 2 gas tanks, because that's how they goddamn made them in 1979. 2 gas tanks. You got your regular tank and your auxiliary tank, and then and no radio, because music would imply pleasure, and we were on a mission to go get free sand. Yeah. And so we drove for a long time, and my dad's the original strong silent type, and he was cursed with a daughter that can't keep her mouth shut for more than 5 minutes at a time. But we got there, we drove. Now I want you to close your eyes right now. Just listen to the sound of my voice. Close your eyes right now and use the power of your imagination because we've been driving for a long time in silence. And get a mental image of the picture of the map of the state of Minnesota in your mind right now, because I'm going to tell you one more thing. Free sand is in Ely, Minnesota. So we drove about 5 hours to get free sand from a man in Ely that just popped out of a little Unabomber shack and said, "Hey, Eddie, how's it going? What do you need?" And that was the beautiful thing about my dad. He had a buddy anywhere, and he could get it to you for free, whatever you needed. Black dirt, gravel, sand, you know. So, and I don't know how my dad knew these guys, and they must have all been connected by some beautiful psychic network, because my dad was never on the phone. But my dad could get into that magical truck, and he could drive for 5 hours, 5 minutes, 5 days, and he would pull up onto somebody's property, never, or land, never, driveway or anything. He went to somebody's property. He's types of guys that said, "Yeah, get off my property," And some little toothless hunchback guy would pop out of a Unabomber shack and say, "Hey, Eddie, how's it going? What do you need?" And he had a buddy. He could get it. My dad had buddies everywhere. He had buddies with names like Dutch and Butch and Merle and Earl and Skorka and Schmitty. And my dad's name was Ed. And they were like a gang. And they dressed like a gang. They had saggy ass jeans. And they wore baseball caps too, but they didn't wear them off to the side with the bill off to the side or in the back. They wear them way high up on their heads, so that there was like 3 inches of dead space between their skull and the top of the cap. They had like a foam part that was printed with something clever, and then the mesh back. The foam part, my dad's favorite hat was said "Sexy Grandpa." But he never wore that one out in public. He only wore it like twice as a joke. 2 times. That's it. So, I miss him. He's gone. I'd like to believe that he never would have worn a MAGA hat, but I can't be too sure about that. So I'm filming this, of course, before the inauguration, and I'm hoping that this finds us all in a better place on the other side. Hang in there. God bless.
Hey everyone, my name is Graham. I run the Golden Cocktails Mixology account here in Minneapolis, working at Surgeon Jane, which is a men's, women's, kids, and pets lifestyle boutique. We're a one-stop shop located on 45th and France. We have a lot of vintage vinyl, glassware, and everything you need to make custom cocktails at home. We also are the exclusive retailer of the Keep Morningside Weird t-shirts. So stop on by and make sure to check out our new Morningside Riser cocktail.
Hi, my name is Ashok Darwal. My wife and I own the Yoga Fit studios in Minneapolis, including the one on 45th and France Avenue. We are honored to be a sponsor once again for Morningside After Dark. It will be our 6th year in a row. We're very grateful to be a part of this wonderful event. We wanted to share that we are doing about 100 in-studio classes per week across our 4 locations, and also about 50 virtual classes per week. If you're interested in joining a membership, we have some specials for Morningside After Dark fans and community, and you can email us at lindenhills@yogafitstudios.com. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kim Odie. I've lived in Morningside for 30 years, and for about half that time I've become a pretty serious bread baker. I was attracted to baking for the usual reasons. It's a life skill, it's authentic, it's physical, and it's delicious. I also fell in love with the language. Yeast blooms, dough rises, and when it hits the heat of the stove, there's a phenomenon called oven spring that happens. You cannot say oven spring without smiling. And you cannot think about dough rising without your heart feeling a little lighter as well. Lately though, for various reasons, I've found myself thinking of another synonym for rise, and that's prove. Now, prove is an old word, but it's become a little more popular lately with the Great British Baking Show, which uses that word, prove, instead of rise. If you've watched the show, you know that there, in a tent, in a meadow, bakers regularly fret whether their dough will have enough time to prove. And Paul Hollywood often has to tell them that no, it didn't. I realize that I may be perpetuating a belief that bread magically rises because yeast magically blooms. And if that were so, I wouldn't be here working up a bit of a sweat kneading bread. Kneading is the act of stretching and folding dough to build the gluten. Mixing the dough is kind of like throwing a bunch of pencils in the junk drawer a la who, but kneading slowly but inexorably causes those pencils to line up. And if you haven't caught on, pencils are code for gluten strands. Gluten is what supports the dough as it proves. It's kind of like a body's skeleton or a carpenter's scaffolding. Gluten provides support. A quick kneading tutorial. When you've mixed your dough, just toss a little bit of flour on your counter, not much, and begin a process of stretching, folding back, quarter turn. Stretch, fold, quarter turn. Stretch, fold, quarter turn. Over and over and over again. Pro tip, resist adding more flour to your counter. If the dough gets sticky, just dust your hands, and what clings to your palms is all the flour you're going to need to get past that moment of stickiness. This is going to keep your bread from becoming dense. But it takes patience and effort. As you keep kneading, you will notice that the gluten strands start to become a little more visible, a little stronger. You can hold it up to a window and see them. But again, patience and effort. Which gets me back to my current shift from thinking about proving. Proving isn't as lyrical a word. It can sound challenging. It can even sound a bit belligerent. Prove it! And we don't need any more of that in the world. So I prefer to consider it a word of encouragement to the dough. Prove to me that my kneading is helpful, that it supports your best efforts to become a loaf. Prove to me that the most ordinary of ingredients, flour, water, salt, and yeast, can be transformed into a terrific bread and will lead to grilled cheese sandwiches. Prove to me that with patience and with effort, it's possible to build something strong and authentic, even when the world is weak and full of lies. Prove it. Prove it.
Hi Minneapolis friends, just wanted to sing you a little song about getting out in the streets, about getting beat up and living to fight another day, about rising up. Hope you enjoy it. Streaks of earth matted in her hair, beat beaten down, but she won't scare. She blinks her eyes, battered green and blue. Ignorance can leave an awful brew. So get up, get up, come on and get up. Violet, a blade of grass in her aching fist sets her jaw, but she won't quit. She'll take the fight to streets and avenues. A little dirt can make a flower bloom. So get up, get up, come on and get up. Violet, bum ba 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 ba, ooh, ooh. Bum ba 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 ba, ooh. Bum ba 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 ba, ooh. Bum ba 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 ba, ooh. Get up, get up, come on and get up. Violet, come on and get up, get up, come on and get up. Thank you very much.
Hello, Morningside After Dark. My name is Michael Kleber Diggs. Thanks for having me, or I should say thanks for having me back. I was there once in person. It's good to be back with you. This piece is untitled. I work from home now. The nature of my work has changed. I went from being a 9-to-5 guy to a freelance guy. I am, as the freelance definition indicates, a person who works as a writer, designer, performer, or the like, selling work or services by the hour, day, job, etc., instead of working on a regular salary basis for one employer. I have certain projects that are due on certain days. Theoretically, I can work on them whenever. Every morning I wake up slowly. I feed the cats, walk the dogs, then feed them too. I take my medication, then I make something to eat. I put the dishes away. I try to take a shower every day. I try to change my clothes every day. Honestly, it can kind of depend on what I have scheduled. Minor Zoom, one Zoom, maybe not. I read the paper online. I make progress on my assignments most days, usually waiting until they're close to due. I walk the dogs again. The stated reason for my layoff was reduction in business due to coronavirus. On the day I lost my job, 69 other people at the company lost their jobs to something like 70 people out of 400. That was the first Tuesday in May, before Memorial Day, before George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police, before I knew the difference between working from home and sheltering in place. I just remembered something, a funny little detail from last summer. Do you remember the yeast shortage? People were baking lots of bread. I think we felt called to elemental things, back to basics: flour, salt, vegetable oil, warm water, yeast. Mix them, knead them, let the dough rise, bake. So many people were doing these things that the demand for yeast outpaced the supply. We ran out of yeast for a while. I wake up slowly. I feed the cats, walk the dogs, then feed them too. I take my medication. I make something to eat, sometimes cereal, sometimes an egg sandwich, sometimes two. I put the dishes away. I try to take a shower. I try to change my clothes. I look back on the summer as through a looking glass. Curfews, trucks without license plates speeding south toward the city every night around dusk. The fire extinguisher on the kitchen counter. The trash cans my neighbor placed at the end of the alley each night as we all got ready for bed. Text messages from the neighborhood watch every 15 minutes or so. Spirals of smoke ascending the western sky. Sirens. Everywhere the sound of sirens. And birds. Do you remember the birds? The city streets so quiet of cars, everyone mostly indoors, pandemic, uprising, both at the same time. I walked the dogs and heard from every direction, ringing out in layers of volume and distance. Birds singing. This morning I woke slowly. I came downstairs and fed the cats. I took the dogs out. I need to take them out here again in a second. I have a video to record today, so I took a shower. I combed my hair and brushed my teeth real good. I put in a little beard oil and changed my clothes. I got into an argument on Facebook with people I went to high school with. I used to say friends from high school. They said the election was stolen. I was right, but no one won the argument. I skipped reading the paper and started writing this. It's due soon, so I have to get to it. Sometimes the most amazing thing we can do is wake up. I didn't bake bread or anything like that, really. I walked the dogs a lot. We went further than we usually do. I met, for the first time, neighbors I've lived near for years. We visited. We still do. I used to wake early and drive south, exactly 11 miles to my job in the suburbs. I used to return home late. I took the dogs out, but I didn't walk them really. We just circled the same small space. I got out more. I walked and took in fresh air. Sometimes ideas would come to me. I would use them to build things, essays or poems. I have to tell you a secret. In 2020, I was not as productive as I was in 2019, but I got a lot more done. I don't want to brag or come across as self-serving in any way, but I want to tell you my biggest accomplishment. I know a lot of people who did it too. You ready? Okay. During the pandemic, in the midst of a violent summer and a much-needed racial reckoning, the chaos it required. During the tumultuous election, the lies, the gaslighting, the calls to violence, the violence and insurrection, the pandemic ever present, the daily tolls, the infection rates, the death, with sickness and death and violence and change and insurrection and all of it. I got up. Before dawn, plenty of times, when it was still dark. And slowly, many days, but I got up. I fed the cats. I walked the dogs again and again. We went outside. We breathed fresh air when it was there. Once, I walked by as one of my neighbors was baking bread. And every day, Every time I was out there, no matter how bad it was, I noticed the birds. There was always birds singing.
Hi, I am Elska, and this song, On the Shoulders of Giants, was written and recorded for the Me Too Minneapolis compilation record that came out in the fall of 2020. And this song serves to highlight the importance of the generations of women who came before us to allow for this moment to happen. The song is also the title track of my debut record coming out on March 26th. You can visit hielska.com for more information or find me on social media at hielska. And I hope you enjoy this song.
My sister's a giant at 5'3". Told to stay quiet, decided to speak. Cast a pariah, girl, you shouldn't be here. But she did it for her and she did it for me. My sister's a giant at 5'9". A sword and a shield and a drawer of lines. I can still feel his touch and it burns like an iron. She laid him out on his back as she covered mine. My mom was a giant at 12 years old. A child and a man and the strength to say no. Oh, how we were raised, now that I know. It all makes sense now the story's been told. The torch that we carry was made for us. The fire that it holds set a blaze for us. The war that they fought is the same for us. We can finally see light on the shoulders of giants.
And that's a show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. At least we can feel like we're all together and connected. And you know what? If you're only getting together with people over Zoom, doesn't mean you can't dress up and accessorize. So thanks again, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks to all the performers. Thank you to our sponsors. Please see our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or check out our new website for archives, performances, and more.
Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you back in this space next month on February 22nd for the next theme, Into the Wild. Until then, please stay safe, be well.